Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST and Baltimore Positive. Nothing more positive than this guy. We don't get him on often enough around here. I don't know enough about lacrosse to, quite frankly, hold a conversation with him about such things, but we share a love of, football, Baltimore, crab cakes, amongst other things, Ed Reed, and we are both licking our purple wounds right now. My dear friend Frank Kelly joining us here from Kelly, of course, here locally. And if you're familiar with anything Calvert Hall and all the good works that they do in the community and the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and this year a big banquet on March 9th. But I'm going to go full on here because I'm an honest guy, Frank. We booked you on to have this awesome AFC championship. We're going to Miami, or you're coming to my parties kind of conversation, and lo and behold, you know what you put in the calendar after a football game, you never really know how it's going to work out. I'm assuming it's tough around the office this week. It's tough around every office this week. And my office is the Super Bowl 2 weeks from now in South Beach. And something tells me it's not going to be the same this year, right?
Yeah, disappointing. I think we're all feeling it. I know I woke up Sunday morning with a hangover so bad, and I don't drink, Nestor. I don't even drink, and I felt so hungover. And I'm still feeling it. I think we all are. I mean, incredible season, magical season, memorable season, awesome season, disappointing game. I know everybody feels it. We know the Ravens feel it, but I see hope. I see a bright future. I'm glad to be a Ravens fan.
Well, yeah, and there is that part of it where look at what we did this year. And I don't know that the expectations were truly 14-2 by we're going to go to Miami. I mean, all that was a story being written that got derailed, obviously, on Saturday night. And, there's a lot of life lessons, right? You were an athlete. You come from a family of athletes. You've created athletes and coach. And we're going to talk about Fellowship of Christian Athletes. But, boy, there's something about dusting off. And I know, and John Harbaugh was a speaker last year, Frank, I know this, that he would say that what happened with Billy Cundiff and Lee Evans that night led to the resolve that the next year Joe Flacco, Ray Lewis, Matt Burke, those guys, Anquan Bolt, they weren't going to let that happen again the next year, and they didn't. And even the Jacoby Jones and the Mile High Miracle and all of these unlikely things that happen, that when you're a 23-year-old kid and you have the skills that Lamar Jackson has, that you have to believe there's going to be another opportunity, because if you'd won the whole banana, you'd still come back and believe you can win it again next year, right? So there's right. All of that. And, hey, with Lamar, we saw incredible growth and a growth mindset on him last year that this is going to inspire him further. Now, I don't know how that story plays out, but I do know this is going to be a motivated bunch based on reliving that Saturday night thing again and again, as we all do. We all relive our mistakes probably a little bit more than we should, but when you're a football player, you have to, right? They're gonna have to live, eat, and breathe and sleep this the next 51 weeks.
Right. Well, I think Brian Billick used to say, Nestor, you know better than I, but for some reason a loss hurts 2 times as bad as a win feels good. And I think all of us had our expectations so high. I mean, all of us were booking flights and buying tickets. I mean, we knew we're going to play Kansas City in the second round at home. We know we got a good chance. We all have Super Bowl flights to Miami booked, and we might have got ahead of ourselves. I know myself, I'm always kind of a little nervous. I never am too overconfident. I'm always kind of expecting the worst and hoping for the best. But for some reason, I think most of us went into that game thinking we're going to kick their butt. They cannot stop us. And, things didn't go our way. It wasn't our day. A couple mistakes made, some bad breaks, and, the Titans played a great game. But I'll tell you what, the next day we watched Kansas City play the Texans. They're down 24-0, and we see them come back. I think what we're seeing with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs is what we will see in the future with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. You'll learn from these things. God willing, Lamar stays healthy. I see a bright future, and I see a lot of hope.
Well, there's another part of this, in a bigger scale. By the way, Frank Kelly, CEO over at Kelly, and we're going to be talking about Fellowship of Christian Athletes, that this is going, that there is a moral in all this, right, about character building, in that Don't be overconfident. Don't be cocky. Don't think it's
Right.
going to be easy. Don't think because it was easy yesterday, it's going to be easy tomorrow, right? And all of those things and the disappointment and how to lose with some dignity as well, that all of us, you're not going to win the Super Bowl. You're not going to get every sale. You're not going to win every award. You're not going to, you're not going to finish first in every class. I guess that's for all of us to figure out. And this is what sports does. It builds you up and it brings you down, and then you have to work that back hard, up again to get yourself back to the standard. And in football, you have to kind of like wait around for 9 months and sort of, regroup. And for all of us, I think all of us who had flights to Miami, right? There's a whole regrouping of, well, what the heck am I going to do that week, right?
Yeah, well, I know I've got sons living in Atlanta. They're flying up. They had plans to fly up, and they're changing. Bachelor parties. I'm going to have to leave early to fly to the. And I think others around the city are feeling the same way. So we've got some time on our hands. They say football's a game of inches. It truly is. You look at these plays that are made, and the inches didn't go our way, and it's disappointing. But again, I feel great about our future.
Well, Frank, I got on the phone first thing.
Remember,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. You cut out.
More. The season was just so fun. The game,
no
the
doubt.
excitement. And look, going into that game, I felt the only way to beat ourselves. We haven't seen the turnovers. The first turnover that, went off of Andrews' hands, the pass was maybe a little high. It was a big break for the Titans. The other turnovers were a little more clear in the way they went down. Hey, look, we've gone for it on fourth down all year. I might have kicked the field goal, but I'm more conservative. But we've gone for fourth all year. We've gotten the first all year. And I think, we tried to be who we were, and it just didn't work out. So, but still exciting.
Well,
sure.
And I had said all year, the game that they kicked the ball around and stopped tackling. There were a couple, there have been times in the last couple of years where tackling big backs have been an issue. You go back to the Cleveland game and getting beaten there. You go back to Kansas City. In games where you can't tackle, and there's a Rob Gronkowski or there's a Kelsey, that kind of guy that is getting yards after the catch or guys get behind your secondary, that hasn't been a problem. Tackling's been an issue, and the fact that they have not turned the football over has just been such an incredible. It leads to 12 wins in a row when you don't give the ball away and when you move the ball the way they did. And how many times there have been in the RPO, the quarterback puts the ball into the stomach of Gus or Mark, pulls it back out, and they're the only two people in the building that know that you would say if you do that 500 times a year, you're going to fumble it a couple of times. Just,
right.
We all, because that's just the way life is. And it didn't happen so much. And we were all like, wow, and then all of a sudden, every single thing that can go wrong goes wrong, and the tackling stops. I do think it creates a learning and a teaching point here for Coach Harbaugh, and I think for everybody that's going to talk to us at the Super Bowl 2 weeks from now, everyone that's going to approach these players wherever they are, the end of the season is something that is going to eat at them. And I think at any champion, right? How many times Peyton Manning lost in January before he won, right? How many times Jerome Bettis lost before he won? They just put Bill Cowher in the Hall of Fame. No offense, and I'm not even being, anti-Pittsburgh when I say this. I'm sort of shocked because he lost a lot more big games than he won, right? And that's what January does. And look, Marlon Humphrey's at the locker talking about chokers and will be known as losers or whatever. The only way Lamar is going to be what he wants to be is to make good on that Super Bowl promise. And I think what aided him all last year is going to eat at him this year. And for that, and knowing what we went through in 2012 and 13, that this organization has bounced back from these kinds of things with an incredible resolve. And I really do believe they have the right leadership that can not just talk about it, they can say, we were here in 2000, we didn't score a touchdown for a month and won a Super Bowl. We were here in 2012 and 13 when we had the most awful thing happen. We missed a field goal in New England. We dropped a pass in the corner of the end zone. Things went wrong, and for 51 and a half weeks, we couldn't get back to avenge it. You know what? We got back on the bus, went back up to New England, and did it. And John Harbaugh can, with a straight face, look anybody in the eye and say, we did that. And this
absolutely.
organization can say that. So I think for that, it's not the Browns, right? It's not one of those one-shot wonders that can say, we got there once and we did it with, bubble gum and paper clips and we'll do it again. Nah, this team's not built that. They got $45 million in cap money, Frank. How about that?
I know. I love it. Well, I think they're well-positioned, between Ozzie and now Eric Costa, what they've built, Steve Bisciotti's amazing leadership of the team. There's a great culture. There's a winning culture. There's a consistently winning culture. And, you got to give the Titans some credit. They came in. If someone told you Lamar would rush for over 130, throw for over 350, you would say there's no way we lose. No way. But I would have bet my house. I'm glad I'm not a big gambler because I said there's no way Henry's rushing for over 100 yards against the Ravens. I didn't see that. It was the Titans' day. That Titans team kind of reminds me of that Ravens team back in 2000 when we went down to Tennessee and kicked their butt. And it ought to be an interesting championship, AFC championship game Sunday or Saturday or Sunday, whenever it's being played, between the Chiefs and the Titans. I think it's going to be a real game.
Well, when you get to that point, you both feel like you've been kissed by destiny, right? Like what Tennessee's gone through, changing quarterbacks and Vrabel and, beating Belichick and beating Brady and beating Lamar and beating Harbaugh, Dean Pease being involved. There's a story there. Even seeing Kamalea Correa run around, right? Like I say this about him and John Simon and Bashad Perryman and these other guys that didn't work out here, but for some reason they get in a different system. But at least they were identified as talented guys. And some guys figure it out when they're 22, and some guys like me are 51 and still trying to figure it out, Frank.
I got it.
Frank Kelly's here. He is the CEO of Kelly and Associates Insurance, and you know them through Calvert Hall and all their good work. But I know, every year, this is the thing you love the most, and you're always trying to involve the Ravens. I saw Ben Watson retire 2 weeks ago. And, I thought of you because we were out for his speech a couple years ago, and we've had John Harbaugh a couple times. You brought me out there when Lou Holtz was spitting on me and having a good time and laughing. And, for you, this is your Super Bowl, and it's coming up on March 9th. And I want to give you some oxygen because I can't just talk about it in the third. I mean, I was actually there, and I've witnessed this. Ed Reed this year, I want to see Ed address. This is one of the great speeches ever, and I want you to Google it, there's a YouTube speech of Ed Reed in Miami going back. It was right after maybe he retired, somewhere in the 13, 14, 15, and giving a pep talk to the current Canes during like a meeting room, and he was incredible. So I can't wait to see what he's going to have on March 9th.
Yeah, we're excited. Nestor, it's an annual banquet, victory celebration, usually get close to 1,000 people. This year we are excited to have the Hall of Famer Ed Reed in our presence. We're planning to do an interview. It'll be a very casual, very informative, fun style. People can get up close and personal with Ed, and we're going to talk about his football life. His family life is interesting. He grew up in Louisiana, was with a family, a white family, actually, through some of his high school, college years. And then, his football story, his family story, and then his faith story. We'll also honor O.J. Brigance. We give out this annual O.J. Brigance Courage Award, so there'll be a lot going on, some incredible messages. It'll be a powerful night of inspiration. And, anybody interested, it's Maryland FCA, or MDFCA.org. Maryland, MDFCA.org to get more information. And looking for a great night. Obviously we'd love to get some sponsors. We've got some great sponsors lined up, but we got room. And, looking for a great evening.
You know what's incredible? It was almost like you're reading out of Chapter 6 of Purple Rain 2. I got 15 pages on the internet that I wrote about Ed Reed in Chapter 6 being the other Hall of Famer from the U, and his story is incredibly compelling, from DeStrahan High School in St. Charles Parish to Miami and Chuck Pagano. And I'm really looking forward. I always love when Ed sits down and talks about Ed. He doesn't do it much, and you're going to have to sit down and sort of get it out of him and pull it out of him. But his story is really an incredible story, and now the Hall of Famer part of this. So, and I know everything you do with Fellowship of Christian Athletes, it's not a one day, it's all year long. It's for everyone that's involved. It's a mission. You talk about the other 364 days of the year about building better human beings through athletics, right?
Absolutely. And, let me just say this about Ed, too. He has his own foundation. He's doing real things, very significant things here in Baltimore City. He's very committed to the city, and we're going to highlight some of those things Monday night, March 9th as well. Hopefully we'll have some other Ravens and personalities out to be a part of it. But, yeah, FCA is about helping coaches, athletes, fulfill their God-given potential on the field and off the field. We're doing a lot of innovative things in the city with at-risk youth. One of the things I know, Nestor, we were going to maybe mention is the FCA Park Heights Saints. It's a youth football cheerleading program we've been involved in for nearly 20 years sponsoring. They have 9 youth football teams, an incredible cheerleading squad right in the Park Heights area. They play at Lucille Park right on Reisterstown Road between Northern Parkway and Cold Spring Lane, and some unique challenges in that community, but they're a bright light on that field every night when they're practicing, on Saturdays when they play. And, the FCA Park Heights Saints had 3 teams qualify for this American Youth Football National Championship down in Kissimmee, Florida.
Get a trip to Disney World out of that, did they? Look at that. Good work.
Yeah. Yep, and incredible. And the one team, their 10-under team, actually won this American Youth Football League National Championship. They got honored by the mayor last week. The championship was in that first full weekend in December, but honored by the mayor, Mayor Jack Young, last week, in Baltimore City, and really excited to see these young kids grow on the field and off the field, mentally, physically, spiritually, and again, just trying to help them fulfill their God-given potential. And, one of the things I love about the FCA Park Heights Saints Youth Football Program is their coaches. They have about 45 volunteer coaches for their 9 different teams, plus their cheerleaders, so 10 teams, 45 coaches. You have former drug dealers, former men who've been incarcerated who've come out now wanting to help kids. Instead of recruiting kids to run drugs, they're recruiting kids to play football.
That's Baltimore positive. That's what I'm talking about, right? That's what we got. We need more of that, right?
Absolutely. Baltimore positive. And you have former drug dealers coaching youth football teams next to current Baltimore City police officers. So you have teams where there's a Baltimore City police officer coaching next to a former dealer who now are doing everything they can to help young kids fulfill their potential. And we know the challenges, the risks some of our youth are facing every day. And, this program's about hope. They start, Father's Day weekend with a big cookout that Saturday and Father's Day weekend in June. They practice 5 days a week. They talk about leadership, character, development, faith, and then once it gets to the fall, they practice 2-3 times a week and play on the weekends. And these kids are working hard. And these coaches, all volunteer coaches, these are some of the real heroes in our community, are these volunteer coaches giving of their time to help kids. And, that's what FCA loves it. I love it, and we're honored to support it.
You know what? You're describing my father, right? That's what my father did. After he lost his son, he umpired Little League games and coached the East Point Pirates, Little League over Colgate East Point. And, a community organizer, coaching the basketball teams up at the rec center. That's the way I grew up, too. And I know that's not as easy to find as maybe it was when we were kids, right? And it probably wasn't easy to find then. We were just more involved in it, right?
Yeah. Well, I love your theme, Baltimore positive, and there are these incredibly positive things happening all around our city. We read about the negatives and
a lot of them involve sports, right? I mean, that's where what I've done for 30 years in the Orioles and the Colts and the Rays. That's what the legacy is, and it's been your work in lacrosse and at Calvert Hall. Is that sports, as we just learned, right? It brought us all together, and it broke our hearts a little bit, but it brought us together. That's what sports do.
It does. I love it. Well, you know what? And there's no greater team sport than football. It's probably my favorite of all of them, but all sports. And the sacrifice you got to make to be a part of the team, and sometimes you're the starter, sometimes you're not. It's just like life. Things go your way and don't. One of the things you got to love about the Ravens, too, different people around town, we might even compete in business or compete high school to high school or college to college or youth team to youth team. But on Sunday or Saturday, you go into that Ravens Stadium, we're all in purple, man, and we're all united. And, Republican, Democrat, white, black, rich, poor, doesn't matter. We rally around that team. And when you think of what the Ravens did for our city this year, it's awesome. It couldn't have been a better time. Not just Lamar. And Lamar's great because he makes everyone around him better. And he made everyone better. Ingram, the whole team. He's so special. But the Ravens are something we can be so proud of because they give us hope.
Yeah, it's interesting. You would say that Lamar made everyone better. That's what the MVP does, right? Like that's what MVP stands for. As much as it's an individual award, the whole thing in football is if you're the MVP as the quarterback, you threw some passes to some other guys too, and some guys did some blocking. But it really does speak to being a team award, right?
Absolutely. And then he'll give credit to his teammates, which he should. And, I felt like what he did on offense, it transitioned over to the defense. I mean, let's face it, we had a very, very good team. And Lamar was a big part of it. And he not only made his teammates better, I think he made Baltimore better. And I'm thankful.
Frank, tell everybody what you do with Kelly, and then I'm going to send everybody out to the MDFCA.org site. That's it right there, MD, Maryland, FCA, Fellowship Christian Athletes, MDFCA.org. And you'll see a very wonderful, smiling, silvery wisdom look of Ed Reed holding the football. It's March 9th. It's out in Martins West, as always. Tell everybody about Kelly. Give a little love to Kelly. What are you guys doing these days, 2020? I bet protecting people and trying to make their lives better, right?
You've got it. Nestor, we've been in business 44 years. My parents started 44 years ago in the basement of the home we grew up with, right near Delaney High School. We're in our 7th headquarters. We now have over 500 employees serving group health insurance and benefits needs of more than 10,000 employers throughout Maryland and the Mid-Atlantic region. So we're helping employers with their group health, life, disability, dental, vision insurance needs. We also work with individuals in those areas, and we have a payroll company, so we're providing kind of this integrated benefits and payroll solution for employers of all sizes. And we're very fortunate to be involved, with many great businesses throughout the state and helping them help their people. Our vision is to help businesses become better, to make a better world. And, I'm proud of the 500 people at Kelly who are helping make that dream a reality.
Is it exactly 500? How many do you have exactly, or do you know?
Actually, it's over 5. It's right now we're just over 550.
550. How many of them broken-hearted Raven fans? I mean, do you have a couple of Steelers and Redskins? Do you have any agnostics in there that don't claim football? But I would think in your company, 500 and whatever, it's 400 a lot, probably broken hearts, right?
That's true. I mean, we have a few Steeler fans who wander through, and we take care of them, believe me. But most of 90% are Ravens. We wear purple on Fridays, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. A lot of purple. We had a lot of people at the game. The Ravens are a client. We're fortunate that they're a client as well. We support them, and we had a bunch of Kelly family members, a bunch of our people, some of our clients and friends, and, we all felt the same way, and we're still kind of licking our wounds. We'll get over it. I think when you take a step back, as painful as the loss was, there's so much to be thankful for. So many moments this past year, and I think we'll keep learning and getting better, and I know the people at Kelly feel that way too.
Well, losing really stinks, but it's better than not playing the game. You know what I mean? So
that's true.
We're in it, and one day we'll get to use those AFC Championship game tickets. Hey, man, take care of yourself. Rebook a flight to Miami, do something else, get yourself some sunshine or whatnot. Hopefully we'll see you on March 9th. I mean, I had the biggest party, Frank. I was all ready. We had purple lights on build. We had it all ready to go, and it's all... Next year, Tampa. That's what Luke said. Luke said next year will be the 20th anniversary of Tampa. Maybe that's the right time when you consider I have Art Modell here on the set that we bring some Kukua nuts down to Tampa where we did the Giants. Maybe 20 years later, maybe that's what's meant to be. Maybe we're just meant to wait another year. That's all.
Yeah, well, maybe one more year, and I'll tell you what, I for one, would like to see Art Modell in the Hall of Fame, and maybe it'll happen next year. I think he was considered this year. I know the people in Cleveland may still be holding him back, or the reporters there, but hopefully his day will come. Very thankful that Mr. Modell, brought the Ravens to Baltimore in '96, and
Yeah, well, that's what we got right now, right? We're not going to be in Miami in 2 weeks, as sobering as that is for all of us, even those of us that didn't drink on Saturday night and felt hungover on Sunday. Frank, take care of yourself. We're going to join you guys for the 2020 FCA banquet. It's March 9th out in Martins. You can find out all about it at MDFCA.org. Frank Kelly doing good work, and our friends over at Kelly and Calvert Hall. Hey, man, I went into Loyola on, bless me, Father, for I've sinned. On the Friday, I do the big seniors playing the Bicota Senior All-Stars come down, and they play the Loyola kids. And I took some pictures and said, I hope the Calvert Hall people don't hold that against me. So I am at least coming clean and say that I walked into Loyola and I was not struck by lightning, okay?
You know this, Nestor. Us Capital Loyola people, we're more like cousins than enemies. We love each other, kind of. But you know what? I will say, we're thankful. This was the 100th-year game back in November. Thanksgiving was the 100th anniversary of the Turkey Bowl, and Calvert Hall was fortunate to win that one. Loyola still holds a slight advantage in the overall series, but that was a big game, very exciting. They sold out Towson University, Johnny United Stadium. Over 11,000 people, had to turn people away. Sold that high school football game out. And that was an incredible tradition, Calvert Hall Loyola. And you can speak at Loyola once every maybe 5 or 10 years. We'll let you do that.
I go in every year at Christmas. It's cleansing. It's not. Every time I go in there, I'm like, who won the game? Because they give me the microphone. And I'm figuring one year they might win, and I can talk. So, I went in and I'm like, you guys lost this year. Yeah, we lost. Okay, I won't bring that up, So, hey, go Calvert Hall. Go. My son went to the hall, Perry Hall. I always give you guys a hard time about that. So.
I love it.
Take care of yourself, Frank. Be well.
Great schools at Baltimore. Thanks, Nestor.
Hey, man, we're all going to dust off here. We're going to be okay. We'll see you in Tampa next year, okay? There he goes. Frank Kelly, CEO over at Kelly, joining us here talking Maryland FCA. Find them at mdfca.org. The date is March 9th. Ed Reed speaking. That'll be good. It'll be very, very good. I'd like to hear Ed Reed speak. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. I speak on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Snapchat. Some say too much. Some don't always agree with what I say, but that's okay too. We're all in it together. Little Baltimore positive for you as well. Martin O'Malley joining us later on this week. We have a huge list. We're getting the events page up at Baltimore Positive. I'm souping that up now that the Ravens Miami Super Bowl victory party is not meant to be this year. So we will be in South Beach. Luke and I will be broadcasting live from the Miami Beach Convention Center 2 weeks from now. Make sure you're around for that. You can find me anywhere the internet is served in the buyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device. Make sure you subscribe to our morning newspaper. It delivers free of charge each and every morning. It's all brought to you by our friends at Planet Fitness and planetfitness.com. Always $5 down, $10 a month, and they've always got a great deal to start the year for you at Planet Fitness. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports and Baltimore positive.